Cowboys because last season they were tied for last place in the NFL with the most dropped passes by receivers. This included Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb, who finished in the top 10 for most drops. The 3 years prior, Dallas had never been worse than 7th when it came to drops. And I know, Skip, this gave you nightmares, but Shannon, how do you explain it?
Drops are more about concentration. It's more mental than coaching. Sometimes guys will drop passes if they don't get the ball often enough, and then they feel when the ball comes to them, they need to do something with the football in order to validate, so the coaches will give them more opportunities. And you see that a lot. You see a lot of guys turn their head, start to run before they secure the ball. So this is not a mental thing. This is not coaching. But I hope we don't think those first 2 plays that you showed in that package, Jenny, are drops, do we? Are we calling those drops? Because the thing is, what I love when people say, oh, what's the saying? If you get your hands on it, you should have caught it. Says the people that never caught a pass. The thing is, Skip, when you look at this, yes, are there passes that should have been caught? Absolutely. But if you go back over the course of the year, there's also passes that were caught that maybe should have been dropped. So you got to factor those in also. It seems to me that everybody just wants to factor in the plays that were not made. But what about the plays that probably shouldn't have been made that were made? That goes to winning. You see, this is what gets you guys every year, Skip Bayless. Somebody will come out with stats like this, and it will convince your delusional fans. See, I told you, we should have been 12-4. We should have won the division, and we should have been playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Y'all do that every year. You've been doing it for 25 years. Let me know how that worked out for you the next 25 years.
So I can explain all those drops last year with 2 words. Jason and Garrett. Jason Garrett. Right. He was responsible. He was the reason for all those drop passes. Shannon Sharpe. In the end, it is about not just coaching, but the tone set by your coach. Jason Garrett was Coach Clap, as I nicknamed him. Jason Garrett would watch a big touchdown catch, and he would just keep clapping and butt slapping. And then he'd watch yet another drop, and as the team came off the field, he'd just keep clapping and butt slapping the guy who dropped the pass. Jason Garrett created no urgency, no fear of retribution, no fear of hell to pay if you dropped another pass. There was little to no weekly focus. There was no lock-in. There was zero Jimmy Johnson Memorial fear factor in that locker room. So I told you from the start, Jason Garrett, really good at preparing a football team from Wednesday until through Saturday. On Sunday, he couldn't motivate a rodeo bull in the chute. It was hard to watch because I covered Jimmy Johnson's teams. Jimmy Johnson was hell to pay. If you started dropping balls for Jimmy Johnson, you're going to have a hurricane in your face on the sideline. You're going to stay after practice to run sprints. I don't know, you just might get your butt cut because that's the way Jimmy operated, and they knew it. They were scared to death of that man. I used to be in the locker room during media availability at lunchtime, and if that head coach with that hair, if he happened to just wander through the locker room, everybody just stopped talking and shrank back in their lockers and looked sideways like, I hope I didn't do something. I hope it wasn't me. They feared him. They locked in for him. They stayed focused for him. And Jason Garrett created the softest environment in the National Football League. In the end, I just told you a couple of weeks ago, over the last decade, no team in the NFL had more Pro Bowl players than the Dallas Cowboys over the previous 10 years. What? So routinely, including going into last year, I thought Dallas had the most talented team in football. Last year, they were the mentally softest team. I told you Jason Garrett should have been gone long ago. I told you 8 years ago I was calling for his job. He's very good at keeping Jerry Jones happy. That's what he did the best. He'd keep Jerry involved with the game plan. He'd welcome him into team meetings or coach meetings or whatever. Jerry could always be a part of the team because Jason coexisted beautifully with Jerry Jones, who treated him like another son. Jerry, it was hard for Jerry to even let go of Jason in the bitter end until he finally fell in love with Mike McCarthy. So, Shannon, I don't think they'll drop quite as many balls next year because I do think Mike McCarthy's a little tougher coach than Jason Garrett ever thought about being. Again, a lot of people think Mike McCarthy, a tough guy from Pittsburgh. There was one quote in the Bleacher Report article, the big expose about Aaron Rodgers, in which some anonymous source referred to Mike McCarthy as a fake tough guy. And to your point that you keep bringing up, yeah, on Saturdays during walkthroughs, he was often up in his office getting a massage. Maybe that's fake tough guy, but I'll still take him over Jason Garrett. And my final point to you is, CeeDee Lamb last year at the University of Oklahoma dropped all of 3 passes. He will drop no more than 3 this coming year with the Cowboys because he is a baller. And I believe that will start rubbing off on everybody, starting with Michael Gallup, who, according to The Athletic stats, he led the league in drops last year with 13. That can't fly, man. You're not that good to drop 13 balls if, in fact, that's what it was in the end. Everybody has different sort of drop stats that they use. But even Zeke, was his mind all there after he got his money? Zeke dropped 6 passes last year. He dropped 5 in his first 3 years. Mental focus, no fear of head coach. Mind not always in the game and on the game. I'm sorry, that's what it was. Jason Garrett.
No, you talk about Jimmy because you had one mind, you had one voice emanating from the locker room. You see, you have 2 voices now, Jason Garrett and you have Jerry Jones. The players are unafraid of Jason Garrett because they know they can go behind Jason Garrett's back and go to Jerry Jones. Therein lies the problem. Skip, I can't discipline you if I know I'm going to get yelled at by my superior. And that's what happened. See, Jimmy didn't have to answer to anybody. And you know that. That's how it was in Denver with Mike. We knew Mike was the end-all, be-all. Mr. Bolin turned it over to him. He was the general manager. He was the head coach. You came the time that Mike said. You got off when Mike said it. We understood that. But Jerry didn't want that. Jerry wanted to have a voice. And in the process of having a voice, his voice started overshadowing the head coach's voice that should be the voice that's emanating in the locker room. So this is Jerry's fault that there was no accountability. There was just Jerry's fault that the coach can't get on the players like he should because Jerry no longer wanted Jimmy to have that kind of control. I want in. Let me tag me in. I want to say something. Jimmy's like, no. Only the head coach addressed the team. Jerry wasn't addressing no team like he doing now. He in the locker room. He leading the prayer. He say, good job, guys, at the end of the day. Okay, there were occasions that Mr. Bolin, there were occasions that Art Modell might say something, but that was few and far between. Not every game. Therein lies your problem, Skip Bayless. The question I have for you, is he going to let Mike McCarthy coach and let Mike run the show, or is he want to overshadow, or does he want to be the face of the Cowboys? Because if he does, you're going to be in the same situation that you've been in since Jimmy left.
I don't have an answer to that. I like what I've seen so far. I'm waiting to see what I see when the real games start. Okay. You're probably right. I just think by nature, Mike McCarthy is a little tougher, mentally, sort of emotionally tougher. He's more of a driving football coach than Jason Garrett was. Jason was pure players coach. Jason was a decent player, a backup quarterback who had a couple of big moments, one against your brother's team on Thanksgiving Day, the Packers, obviously. And Jason was pretty good. Jason knew the ropes. He knew how to do it. He knew how to play. He knows how to deal with football players to a fault. he was too nice a guy. I don't think Mike McCarthy will get as close to the players. So I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of new fear factor, maybe from Mike Nolan on the defensive side, a little bit of new urgency created. But Shannon, in the end, I look at the numbers that got put up by the offense last year. Just quickly for the record, they were number 1 in total offense, number 2 in passing offense, number 2 in third down offense, number 2 in explosive pass plays and in explosive plays, period. And they went 8-8. They did too many bad things. They didn't take the ball away enough. They dropped way too many passes. And Dak missed too many throws by his lofty standards that would have changed or won games. So something was missing psychologically, and it's the culture that Jason created. And to your point, and I give you this, ultimately it's Jerry's fault because he stuck with Jason Garrett to a fault. So in the end, they need to have a new sheriff. They have to have a new upgraded culture. I'm hoping that a guy like CeeDee Lamb will walk in the door and say, hell with all this. I'm going out there to play football, and if you guys want to come along, join me. That's what I hope happens.
Well, Skip, to be honest with you, sometimes drops are contagious because I've been in games in 2 different locations, in Denver and in Baltimore, and one guy dropped the ball on first down, and another guy dropped the ball on second down, and another guy dropped the ball on third down. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then I've seen situations where one guy make a tough catch, and then for the rest of the game, everybody's making acrobatic catches. So maybe that happened. But I still believe